Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition, the long weekend edition of the Weekend Wrap, brought to you by CrowCast, of course. An absolutely resounding win by the Crows on the weekend, as we all hoped and kind of expected, but you never know with the Adelaide Crows. So very happy to have seen them get over the line with such a devastating performance, really, and looking at Texan and the big Texan, it was just a fantastic performance for him to get 10 goals on his 250th. And joining me to talk all about it is our oh wait, there's no Macca. There's no Macca. What's going on? Oh, look, now everyone is going to be saying, and g'day to everyone who's joined us in the middle of the Essendon Carlton game and on the back of a long weekend. Thanks very much for joining us tonight, or joining me tonight. Everyone's going to be saying, oh, he pissed Macca off too much over the last couple of weeks and he's done a bolt. That's not the case. Not the case at all. Macca has a prior family engagement this weekend that he couldn't get out of. And I didn't have a backup planned, and it was a bit of a cakewalk on the weekend, so I thought I would just have a fairly quick one tonight. So, Macca is well and truly on board for those that are concerned, and he will be back next week. I can see all the rumours in chat already, you bunch of mongrels. So, thanks to everyone who's joined us on YouTube, of course, and on Discord. Now, because of Macca's absence, he leaves a massive hole. That big bald scone of his leaves a massive hole in proceedings. He's the only one that cares about the weekend's results. He's the only one that watches every game. So we're going to be asking the audience and everyone who's on Discord and listening in the stadium chat there, if you want to get on board and have something to say, it'd be a really good week to do it. A really good week. Otherwise, you can leave me hanging. I've got a couple of people who want to say g'day. So, 1990 in the chat saying, do I want to watch the cricket, the Bombers and Blues, or the CrowCast? It's like, well, I don't know. I'm wishing I'm watching the cricket right now. Scotty Boland with a couple of early ones, including Coley, is a pretty good start. But anyway, we're going to crack on. Yes, and thanks to those couple of you who have put your hands up already, I will definitely get you on during the course of the evening. But just to start proceedings, I might just rattle through the weekend's results because, you know, we just have to do that, don't we? Is that what we have to do? I mean, really, Macca's the only one that cares, but we'll do it. We'll do it for Macca. So, on Thursday night, we had St Kilda beating Sydney by 14 points. Sydney in the doldrums on Buddy's big day. Nobody cares. The Saints hanging in there in the top 8, although I think of all the teams that are in the top 8, I think they're the ones that least belong there at the moment. So they'd be the most vulnerable, I reckon. On Friday night, the Power just a very powerful performance, getting up over a lacklustre Western Bulldogs by 22. The Bulldogs not really seeming to have a lot of system at the moment, and there's got to come a point, I reckon, where Luke Beveridge has got to start getting a bit of a blowtorch because, you know, they've got a very good side. They've got a lot of cattle, but they don't seem to be able to put it all together at the moment. And as for Port, well, they're just travelling really nicely at the moment. Butters is particularly shining at the moment. He's Kenny Hinkley said he could be the next Gary Ablett Jr. Back when he started, and I don't know about that, but he's certainly their number one midfielder at the moment, ably supported, of course, by Rosie, and we've also got Jason Horne-Francis just coming along nicely for them. So they're looking pretty good at the moment, which is pretty annoying, but never mind. Then we had the Hawks, a big upset win over the Lions. The Lions just proving that they're not so great when it's not at home. Hawthorn 98 to Brisbane 73, 25 points in the end. Probably the biggest thing to come out of that one, I reckon, and I'd be interested to see you guys chatting what you think about the Sicily tackle on McCluggage. There was a couple of ones. There was one in the Saints game, Butler, that I reckon he was really stiff. The Sicily one, I'm probably on the fence about. McCluggage obviously both players in those instances got concussed. But I reckon Sicily might go. Not sure about Butler. It'd be very interesting. Fuddy saying he didn't see the Sicily, but 6 weeks. That's all right. And then the Dockers just faltering, and this is a really good result for us. The Dockers going down by 15 points to Richmond, 70 to 85. Look, it was theirs to win, and Richmond are playing really well with under what's his name? That guy, the new coach, and taking all before them at the moment, and still a sneaky chance for the 8 Richmond. So I wouldn't write them off, and Fremantle's chances just getting a little bit dented there with that loss. So they wouldn't have been happy with losing a game at home. And then, of course, we had North v Giants. The Giants getting up by 28 points. You can tell that I haven't watched many of these games. Oh, where's Macca? Ring in, Macca. The Giants keeping their very, very slim hopes alive, and North doing what North does. And currently, it was an interesting game until Carlton decided not to turn up in the second half. So Essendon just going along nicely now, 40 to 73, I think it is. And you can see just about at the end of the third quarter there. So I was hoping Carlton might do us a favour and keep Essendon out of the 8, but it looks like they're going to jump up. And as we have a look at the ladder, I'll put the live ladder up so we can see. It's a bit confusing at the moment, obviously, because of the bye rounds, etc. But we'll try and make sense of it if I can just actually put this down here. So we've got Collingwood yet to play on 44 points. Port also on 44. Melbourne obviously playing Collingwood tomorrow on 32, along with Brisbane, who have a game in hand as well. St Kilda also a game in hand on 32, and Essendon, if this result keeps going, also on 32 points. And then you've got the Mighty Crows with a massive percentage boost, which will do us a lot of favours, up to 116.5 percentage points there on 28, along with the Bulldogs. And then out of the 8 with games in hand, we've got Geelong, Fremantle and Gold Coast on 24. Geelong with the only ones with percentage to bother us. But they've got a stiff game next week against Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. So that could see them fall a game behind. And then Richmond on 22, not quite out of it. Sydney, you would imagine, out of it with the Giants. Carlton are just a rabble. Hawthorn, North Melbourne, and West Coast Eagles, who I would suggest is maybe the worst team since Fitzroy. Worst team since Fitzroy, I reckon. And I'm going to bring Radicus on to start off with. And Radicus, would you agree with me? West Coast probably the worst team since West Coast to get on, mate? You might be on mute. Your microphone's not working. No, that's a bit of a shame. We'll pop you back to the crowd and see if we can get that sorted out. We'll pop in Arab Child, see what you've got to say. Arab, mate, how you going? I can't hear you either. What's going on? Maybe if I did this. Right, that's better.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
That's better. Yeah, Radix, put your hand back up because I actually had the Discord channel muted because Macca wasn't here. How you going, mate?
Good, how are you? That was a good win this week.
Mate.
I called it a couple of weeks ago. I said I need to see a slaughtering, and I did see one, and I'm so happy I did.
You certainly saw us slaughtering, mate. It was
Yep,
amazing,
that
wasn't
was
it?
bad. Yeah, it was pretty good. It's just a shame, like, even that was such a big thing. But if you notice, it was like the center bounces, they kept just getting it forward, and it was actually like a lot of rebounding. And it kind of annoyed me how we didn't have like two really tough inside midfielders that could just keep it in or like pass to the outside. Kelly kept killing us. It was even one player, but he had all control. That was the only downside. I'm sorry for like out of everything that was so good, just seeing that one, but it's just like that was one major thing that I noticed, which was like we really need to tackle some player. We need someone next year, otherwise it's going to be trouble for us in the long run.
Yeah, we've still got some lads coming through. Sam Berry, I think, will be. I reckon Sam Berry's actually being freshened up by Burgess. I reckon there's some fitness areas that Sam's working on, which is why we're not seeing him in the ones. And
What do you think?
yeah,
What do you think of getting Paddy Dow? Because he's getting some really good numbers, like
oh,
in the VFL.
blah.
But
Nah,
but
sorry,
I thought we need him. Why not? He's like
nah,
187. He's kind of the height we need.
nah, not interested. He's just fringe in Carlton's team. I don't want a fringe Carlton player.
Yeah,
Flanders from Gold Coast is the one I wouldn't mind having a look at, mate.
I don't know about him because isn't he just a halfback flanker, which we have like 10,000 of them, or
No, no,
is he a
no,
midfield?
no, no, no. He's a mid.
Ah, okay, that's good. Yeah,
He's a mid.
then we should get him if you think he's good.
Yeah,
Not sure about him, but definitely not Mason Redmond. If we go after him, it would just be a waste of salary, to be honest with you, because he's just we've got so many players like him. I feel like it's just right now players are kind of being played out of position, and especially Smith. I feel like it's having a lot of cause in that one. Miller, if he's not that like shut down role player. He's actually more of an attacking, and Smith is more of that shutdown, and it's just reversed. I feel like that's what I'm watching right now, is that it's quite reversed. And if it's just if you want Smith in there, he should just be like a shutdown small defender, and Miller will be the attacking. Then we will have a Redmond kind of player in there because Miller has such a good kick. He's just incredible. Like if you watch him kicking, he always hits his
he's
targets and
certainly
stuff.
certainly coming back to the form that we saw in glimpses before his ACL. And it's if he can continue on that trend line, Arab, then it's going to be a real bonus for us coming off that half-back line because he's got a lot of composure and he's obviously got a good step. And he looks a bit more composed now. It looks like he's finally got like the pace of the game, I think. And he's really starting to show his worth off half-back. And I just hope they keep him there because they messed him around pre-ACL. Remember, they were playing him up forward and all sorts of places and just play him off
Yeah,
half-back.
wing, inside midfielder, outside midfielder, everywhere.
That's
It's
right,
like
yeah.
Bogarty in the
Yeah.
beginning of his career. For some dumb reason, we sent him to full back, and I was like, dude, this guy's like one of the straightest kicks. Why is he in like full back trying to shut down players? It didn't make sense to me. Or when we put him in the midfield, how this guy can barely run, like he's so big. I mean, he got drafted as like a forward mid, but it was weird. Even like Chase Jones, it's just so many players. It seems like it's a constant thing, and I don't know. It's like all the coaching stuff has moved on, but it's just the departments of like recruitment and thing hasn't changed, and the players being played out of position. I feel like they kind of have a say in it. I don't know who has a say in it, but why hasn't that not changed? And why do we keep putting players in positions where they don't belong?
Mate,
It's
mate,
just like,
you're pretty salty off the back of a 2,000 point win.
well, it was
Like, come on, mate,
expected.
have a smile.
I have a smile. It's just like watching it, and I'm like, we could be trying players in where they belong, and it's just like, why are we not seeing it even in this game? Why are still players like being played out of position? And it's like this game we're winning it. Let's just try them in there, see what happens. And it was the same thing over and over again. That's what really got to me. It's like that's why I'm like a bit salty about this game. It was like expected to win, but I expected to see some players in there that should be in there, if that makes sense. That's the only thing that's bothering me.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. A few people have said, it was an opportunity to give more rotations to Bedler and Soligo, etc. They got a few rotations in there. I think there's a bit to some old stagers really wanting to be involved in Texas 250th, and I don't have a problem with that personally. I think that there's a few blokes there, Smith and Sloan, that carried the club along with Tex through some pretty dark times, and I think they deserve the celebration and deserve to be involved. That said, we don't know where players are in their development. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more of both Luke and Jake Saligo, and also a bit more of Rochelle through the midfield. But, by the same token, mate, you also don't want to overcook players, and I just wonder whether it was an opportunity for players just to not relax, but just have a fun game, if you like. And, that's to me what it looked like, that the players were having fun. There wasn't a lot of real system involved. It was just talent versus second-rate players for West Coast, really. Yeah, more or less.
It was just a waffle team, really. There's no one really there. I'm looking, it's like, even Shuey, I feel so bad for him as a captain. Like, he's so pissed off. He's just there, like, he doesn't want to be there anymore. And
well, I mean,
like,
if you're playing in a team that's getting thumped every week, and you've achieved everything. You're an All-Australian. You're a captain. You're a premiership player. I mean, do you want to keep rocking up and getting belted? I mean, Elliot Yeo, I thought played really well. Yeo played really well.
Not saying that name. Yo-yo.
Yeah. I thought Tim Kelly played really well. Thanks, Andalou, arsehole. And a couple of youngsters, Bailey Williams, I thought played really well, and that young blonde lad played all right too. But apart from that, they haven't got anything. And I think as a senior player there, it must be pretty hard to keep your motivation.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, you just it's like they should just retire, to be honest with you, or just move on to Gold Coast, or actually the retirement home in Geelong. It doesn't matter really.
Yeah, that's right.
That's pretty much looks like it is. Do you think we should go after a ruckman, or should we just keep trying to develop Pedler, or wait for Harry Barnett, or just pay some big bucks for like someone like what's his name, the Fremantle ruckman?
Darcy.
Darcy, yeah, because he seems very gettable.
I don't know whether he's gettable. I just think we've got bigger fish to fry at the moment, Arab. I think, if we're going to start throwing trade currency around or dollars around, I would really much prefer it to be a midfielder, because, Riley O'Brien, for all his faults, he doesn't often cost us a game. We've got Riley Thilthorpe in the wings, who is coming along nicely in that space. I think we've got other areas of our list that need looking at. We probably need midfielders more than anything else. We've got such a good forward line, and our back line is relatively solid. We could possibly do with another up-and-coming key position defender. I just don't... Like, good ruckmen are good to have, but I don't know whether you want to spend the currency at this time.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, because they seem very valuable. Like, past few years when like good teams have won, or the good teams on top, they all have like a really solid ruckman, and it's interesting because like they cover the ground so well. Like if you watch the Melbourne games and stuff, and it's like pretty much having a whole wall, just one person always marking it in the back or in the forward, in either Grundy or whatever the other guy's name is. I keep forgetting the names. So many players. But you know what I mean? It's just, he's
Max
so
Gawn.
important, a ruckman. Max Gawn, yeah, he's so important. Yeah. And I just wish like we did get someone like that who just can cover the ground. Riley Thilthorpe is starting to get to that, but he's still not there. And I feel like we just need someone else with him, to be honest. Because yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Western Bulldogs have got probably the best ruckman in the comp at the moment, and it's not doing them any favours.
Yeah, true. I mean,
look, I certainly see your point. I think it's a matter of us getting our midfield organised to be able to cater for what O'Brien does. in centre bounces. O'Brien is quite good at stoppage and he's quite good at throw-ins. And when he's on, he can take a good mark around the ground. He's got more hit-outs than anyone in the comp, although probably his hit-outs to advantage percentage lets him down terribly. But so there's no doubt that he's, in the top half a dozen ruckmen in the comp. That said, I'm not a massive fan, but I want to spend our currency in other places, I think.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, hopefully. I mean, It seems like we're getting there. Everything is getting into place, which is good, and we're on
Yeah.
upward trajectory. And that's so good to see. It's like finally, the cherry is starting to ripen and stuff. And it's just like, it makes me happy because like being at home, especially in 2021, living in Melbourne, all you could do was watch the footy and you couldn't go to work or anything. And it was so miserable every week, just putting on the Crows and just seeing get smashed,
getting
and then
thumped.
just not putting any effort. Yeah, but now it's just like, this feels nice. Like we're smashing teams that we should smash, and we're winning like beating good teams, and we're almost there. We're just that close. It's like if we won one or two more games that we should have won, then we would be right there in the top four. And we've had like 4 more wins, I would say, coming up next in the second half of the year. So it's just getting those little things left, and that's it. And we're there.
Mate, the best thing out of everything you just said there is that you're happy. I'm happy that you're happy, mate.
Oh, trust me, I'm always positive. It's just I'm always positive. I think it's just today it just like annoyed me that I've just been annoyed watching that game because I'm like, this is so easy. Just put the players in there, just try them out, and they just put it, and I'm like, what are you doing? But that was about it, really. All right,
good,
thank
mate.
you.
Good on you, mate. Have a good rest of the long weekend.
Will do.
All right. And in true Macca form, Arab just going straight off script there. We're still at the weekend's results. But hell, let's talk about the Crows. Radicus, I'm going to try you again now that I've got myself sorted. Come on in, mate. How you going? Oh, no, it wasn't my end. It was your end. Something's wrong with your microphone there. You on mute? No, I'm going to have to ditch you back out again. Sorry, mate. All right. Look, so, all in all, we're in good position. I think if anyone had given us 7-6 at the break, we would have taken it, especially with 116% percentage. So I don't think anyone can complain with how the season's going. Many of us have had us, finishing around 12th or 13th. I said that we'd make the 8, and shy to be happy about where we're sitting at the moment. So let's move on to the Crows game, and I'll just bring it up here. 42-79, by the way, Essendon at the moment over Carlton. But the one that we're interested in... Whoops, what have I done? The one that we're interested in, if I can find it. There we go. No. What the hell? Where's Mac when you need him? Just to fill in some blank space while I get my technology sorted. Actually, don't know what's going on here. There we go. There we go. That's better. All right. And it was Adelaide, 27 goals, 12, 174. If you don't mind, West Coast 8-4-52, a margin of 122 points. And it's going to be...
Hello, I can't hear you. Oh. Orange. Speaker. You're on. You're on speaker. Hello? Can everyone hear me? Because I can't hear Finn.
Yo, can you guys hear? Yeah, I got you now. I don't know what happened there. So let's try again. Come on. My audio just dropped out. All right. I don't know why my audio keeps dropping off, but this could be a very short podcast. Yeah. So as I was saying, there's not a lot to say about this game. When you've got a stat line like 424 to 323 disposals, where you've got inside 50, 65 to 34, it's just the only thing that West Coast really got close with is centre clearances, 18 to 16 in our favour. Seeds, what are we going to talk about in this game?
G'day, mate. How you doing? Finally.
Sorry, that was my fault in the end. I don't know why my audio dropped out, but anyway.
I know it was, because everyone's going, we can hear you.
Well, I could hear you too, but apparently no one could hear you. Well, no
one
one
could hear me. You, mate, not me.
So what's going on?
Anyway.
Tell me about the game, because in terms of stats, I'm going to call you Nicky because that's your bloody name.
Can't do it.
In terms of stats, Nick, it was just an absolute smashing. Like 95 marks to 51, 18 marks to 3 inside 50, 17 to 9 contested. Absolute shellacking.
It was an absolute shellacking. Can I make one point, though? The AFL need to look at their scheduling. Why you would have a bye round with only 2 teams on a bye is absolutely bloody ridiculous. Like, there should be at least 4 on a bye per round, not having 7 on the last round. Anyway, beside the point, That's not about the Crows, but
Thanks
you
for
know.
having a whinge.
Um,
Let's have a whinge. Everyone's having a whinge. Bloody Arab had a whinge. Now you're having a whinge. We just won a game by 122 points, mate.
I'm not whinging about our performance. I'm whinging about the AFL scheduling. There's a difference.
Where's Macca?
Why? So he can just agree with you all night.
Yeah, but then anyway.
Now,
So you were there. It must have been a fantastic atmosphere, Nikki.
It was amazing. With Tex and his pen. We were all seeing Walker by the end of it. It was like he was back to his days of a kid, leading out in front rather than coming from behind and out muscling the guy, which we've all said we don't like to watch. We prefer him out in front. Just that snap across the body in the third quarter was just phenomenal.
It was vintage, wasn't it?
Vintage. Never thought Pedler had a leg on him until yesterday. Jeez Louise, that kick outside 50 was awesome. That was amazing.
Well, that covers it then.
No, it was a very, very professional, very fluent play to watch. Riley Thilthorpe needs to be disciplined for that 50 metre. There was no need for that whatsoever. I know we were going to lose possession. It does, because it shows undiscipline towards the kids. So, you know, it's...
What kids are you talking about? The 10-year-olds? The father-sons that are still coming through?
Oh, you're funny. You're very funny. No, I mean like your Worrells and your Parnells and your kids that are just starting to come in. Like, it's a terrible look, and it's really bad. Seriously. Like, I would want him disciplined in some way, and I know a few people around me that were of the same opinion, because it's in the rules. There's no need to do it. There's no need to do it whatsoever.
You just won by 122 points. And everyone's having a crack at me. It's like everyone else is whinging. Look, you did touch on one thing there, Nick, which I agree with. Years gone by, we've been prone to taking these winnable games too easily and end up having a labouring 50-point win. And I felt like it was really good that we kept at it, kept our concentration levels pretty good, and hammered it home for 4 quarters rather than just sort of having a nothing, 8 to 10 goal win. Obviously it helped us with our percentage, but it was just really good to see that consistency throughout the whole game.
And I must admit, I know people were giving Rob a bit of a go tonight, but he played really well yesterday, not in terms of the ruck, but in stoppage and around the ground. He actually played extremely well around the ground. I can't fault him for that yesterday. Obviously his centre taps are a bit left to be desired, but yeah, definitely played really well around the ground yesterday, that's for sure. And I will say, for someone that's not getting selected, and for Tex to ask for him to be there, really good for Matty Crouch to be there and carry him off. I thought that was a good sign. I mean, obviously not playing and stuff, but, good to see him get to celebrate his mate's win and that sort of thing, and his 250th. So,
yeah. I agree, Nick. It's easy to forget that these old stages like Matty Crouch and Texan Sloaney and Brodie Smith, etc., they've gone through some pretty tough times. If we, look back at 2015 and what happened there, and then going through the grand final debacle, etc., and then having to continue to turn up week after week with a young group, a new coach, a new admin, and continue to turn up and perform. And for Tex to be almost in prime Tex form, for Brodie Smith to still be contributing, for Rory Sloane still to be contributing. It's fantastic for those blokes. And, it's debatable whether they'll make it to another grand final. But, it's likely that they'll make it to another final series. And I think that's just a reward for them. It's a shame Matty Crouch has dropped off. But as you said, it was nice that he was involved in Texas celebrations.
Yeah, definitely. And Sloane Dog played to his ultimate best yesterday. The best since he's come back, to be honest. I think it was the old dogs that kind of did it for Tex yesterday. I mean, the kids had a bit to do with it, but those old dogs definitely stepped up yesterday.
Yeah. Look, I think we saw some good glimpses of what's to come too. We saw a little bit of, I'm a massive Luke Pedler fan. And
Pedler's great. I think he's going to be top shelf when he gets himself up to it.
I actually think he could be one of the premier midfielders in the competition if he ever gets an engine. And I hope like hell that he can, because some blokes just don't have it genetically. But I think if he can continue to improve his fitness base, because he just smashes it. I'm not going to go through players in particular tonight because it's a bit useless to try and get any sort of read on a game like that. You're just there for the laugh, really. But if you look at Luke Pedler, let me just try and there he is. Where are you, Luke? So at 16 possessions, that's his season high, I think. 9 kicks, 7 handballs, 5 marks and a tackle kick, 1 goal, 2. 7 contested possessions, 8 score involvements. The bit that I want to have a look at is, he attended centre-bouts 11 times. Didn't get a clearance this week, but 11 times. So just starting to see a little bit of an uptick, Nick, in his attendance in centre, which I think is just showing that his engine is just starting to build a little bit.
And probably due to the Rory Laird hip rib issue, with him spending with time in the midfield, as I said last week, only spending about 74% on the ground, getting rotated out of that midfield, bringing some kids into it. I haven't actually seen what Rory Laird in terms of game time had this week. Haven't had a chance to look at that actually. But I don't think it was very high. I think it was around the 70% again. But yeah.
Yeah, haven't got it in front of me, but I think you're right. I don't think it was much more than 70%.
So again, I mean, the bye is coming at an awesome time for us, especially off a huge win. It's just that we need to try and keep our concentration through that for the week after, which is Collingwood at the G, and our only game at the G for the year.
Until the finals.
Well, of course.
Well, I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on the players, but let's touch on a couple. You mentioned Lairdy had 78% time on ground. Morris said in the chat, thanks for that. 34 disposals, 17 kicks, 17 handballs, 4 marks, 6 tackles, 79% disposal efficiency. He had 20 contested possessions, 14 uncontested. Only turned it over 3 times. He was involved in 8 scores.
Highest disposal of the ground.
473 metres gained, so he was getting the ball moving. 30 centre bounce attendances for 13 clearances, 8 of them in centre and 5 at stoppage, and 6 tackles, 6 inside 50s as well. For a game that, was nothing more than a glorified training drill, really. I mean, they're still very, very good numbers.
Yeah, very much so. And as you can see, his heat map is right in the middle of the ground. Nothing up the back. So, yeah, definitely getting most of his possessions in the middle of the ground, that's for sure.
I like it, Nick. You're looking at heat maps. You just want to see another one like he had the other week.
No, never. You're awful, mate. You're awful.
You're funny. All right, Geordie Dawson had 32 touches, 12 and 20. A bit more handball than usual from Jordan. He's usually a kicker. 3 marks, 6 tackles. Spent a lot of time behind the ball, 67% in the defensive half. Had 10 contested and 23 uncontested possessions. Just seems to have lost his confidence a little bit by foot lately. 8 score involvements. Took 3 marks. 353 metres gained, which is probably a result of him handballing more. It was also at centre bounce 29 times. Only the 1 centre clearance though, 1 around stoppage, 6 tackles as well. It was
looking at
pretty.
Disposal efficiency is pretty low for him, 66%. That's pretty bad. But, still winning with that sort of efficiency, I guess, is a good thing. It just means other people have been whack.
Yeah, let's have a look at Texas stats because, why wouldn't you?
Oh, come on. Benny Keys in that goal. You've got to look at Benny Keys' stats. Come on.
I'm just looking at Texas stats. Don't start running the show, Nikki. Don't start this again. I've already got rid of Macca. I'll get rid of you too.
Oh, you're evil.
21 touches, 18 and 3, 11 marks, 2 tackles, kicked 10 goals too, if you don't mind.
And about 2 or 3 goal assists.
Yeah. 11 contested possessions, 10 uncontested. Scoring accuracy, obviously, we knew. 17 score involvement. So apart from the 12
scoring shots he had, the 17 scoring involvements. And Finn is gone again. That's funny. So Tex looking like amazing.
Yes. 603 metres gained, Nick.
Yeah, needs another contract now.
How many years would you give him?
I'd give him 2.
You give him 2?
I'd give him 2. I know he's just been on ones, but I think not just his performance this week, but a couple of the other performances this year, I think he deserves 2.
Oh, I don't know, Nick. I think ones. I think you got to go ones at his age. I mean, remember the Crows used to have a policy of anyone over 30 got 1-year contracts, and I think that was a pretty reasonable sort of a policy, to be honest with you.
I think that kind of stuffed us up a little bit, but
no,
I think it has.
How?
Well, I mean, you have, the kids come in and you've got guys that are only on 1-year contracts that are around them. All they're doing is fretting about their own contract and re-signing. If you've got them on for 2 years, you've got 1 good year of them, mentoring, training, getting the kids up to speed. Then you've got the 2nd year for them to worry about their contract. You don't need them worried about their contract or their job every week, every year. You need to let them have some sort of consistency, flexibility. It's all about mind, mate. It's all about the mind.
Yeah, but I don't think Texas got anything to worry about. I mean, we're talking about back in the day, it was McLeod and Rashudo and Goodwin and those blokes that got rolling 1-year contracts after 30, and it didn't do them any harm. They all hit 300 games, or most of them. I just don't think you can. You can clog up a list spot by giving a bloke that is possibly going to drop off the cliff at any point a 2-year deal.
I don't think he would drop off, but I think.
Well, he can't play until he's 50. He's going to drop off eventually. So, and I mean, there's been games this year where he has struggled, and yes. Recency bias tells you that he had a great game last night. Huh?
Yeah. There's been games where everyone's struggled, so you're not going to give everyone a contract then.
No, not everyone's 33 years old, Nikki.
Yeah, well, Sloane's not 33 either. But
Well, I
no,
wouldn't be
but
giving
yeah,
Sloane
I
more
see
than
what
I
you
wouldn't.
mean.
We've got to maintain a little bit of flexibility in our list, I think. And I don't think Tex would mind at all getting rolling 1 year deals, because I think he'll know at the end of each season whether he wants to go again. And if he wants to go again and his form warrants it, then they'll happily give him another year. So I don't think that's really a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway, who else can we talk about? Let's talk about Benny Keys, because you love him so much.
I don't
29.
actually. He's my favourite. That's why my new jersey's got his number. Thank you very much.
Whose?
TT.
Right. Well, Benny Keys had 29 touches, 11 kicks, 11 kicks, 18 handballs, 2 marks, 4 tackles kicked. A very nice goal. 10 contested, 18 uncontested possessions, 10 score involvements. What else? Only 268 metres gained, 21 centre bounce attendances. He's the guy that I thought probably got more than his fair share of centre bounce attendances. I would have liked to have seen less of him in the midfield, and more of a couple of the younger kids. I was surprised that he was in there as much as he was, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought Pedler would have gotten more of a run, taking your coattails. But I would have also liked to have seen Rankin in there for a couple, especially against sort of West Coast, and see what he can do in that sort of position. Would have been good to have seen. I was worried when Jones went down, though. That was a bit concerning.
Yeah, but he came back on. Probably just a light corky, I reckon.
Yeah, that's what I think too. But, it was still a bit worrying, especially with Butts as well, with his butt.
I wasn't paying attention to his butt, Nick.
He got a cork in his butt. Did you not see that?
Wayne Miller, 21 disposals, 11 and 10, 2 marks. His disposal efficiency is what I liked, 81%. Used the ball pretty well. 6 contested, 12 uncontested possessions, 7 intercepts, 6 score involvements. Just starting to see a few signs from Junior, Nikki.
Yeah, he's definitely coming back to the form before his injury. That's for sure. His kick yesterday was just pinpoint. His run on yesterday, that's what I was liking. He was one of the sort of only ones of running on to the play and trying to get us forward that way from half back, other than Lairdy, obviously. But he was he's definitely improving since the injury, and since he's got some game time into him. They're chopping and changing him all the time.
Looked to be attacking the ball pretty well last night, which was good, I thought. Look, I don't think there's anyone else I really want to. Josh Worrell had a good game. I'm glad to see him come in, and he had 18 disposals and looked completely comfortable at the level. I thought Lockie Scholl had a good game, kicked 2 goals, 1. Darcy Fogarty played a good second fiddle role to Tex and also kicked 2 goals, 1 from 16 disposals. Pedler we've talked about. Jakey Saliga had 15. Riley Thilthorpe 2 goals, 15 touches, 8 and 7, took 4 marks. Rochelle 15. It was all pretty much pretty much all played well. There wasn't really, maybe Lockie Murphy and a bit of Ned McHenry was a bit quiet, but not everyone can get the ball in those situations. Those games are a bit hard to get involved with sometimes.
Murphy did pop up on some important times and did kick a couple of goals. So
yeah. I'm not bagging anyone this week.
Game. Thought he had an average game. I wouldn't say it was a quiet game.
Yeah, well,
I've seen quieter games from him. But yeah, definitely think he did play an okay game yesterday.
I have no idea why my microphone keeps dropping off.
He doesn't like you, apparently. I don't know either.
Anyway, don't know
Anyway,
why that's happening.
no.
So, yeah.
I'm glad it's us that's got the highest score at Adelaide Oval, not the others, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. And long may it continue. All right, Nikki. Thank you very much for covering the Adelaide game with me. I much appreciate it. Have you got any thoughts before I kick you back out?
Just go the double blues tomorrow.
Absolutely. 100%. Thank you, Nick.
See you, mate.
Bye. All right, we'll try again with Radicus and see whether we've got this one working now. Rat, come in, mate. How you going? Still not working for you? Oh, it's a shame. Never mind. He kicked himself out that time. All right, so I saw a few suggestions in chat with regards to what we should talk about tonight in the absence of Macca and on the back of a fairly easy game. And I think it's probably worthwhile just having a little bit of a chat with everyone in the chat about where we sit. We've got if we have a look at our matches going forward till the end of the season, we've got, let's have a look, we've got Collingwood after the break, obviously. We've got, this is going crazy. Collingwood after the break, and then we've got, who else have we got after that? We've got North, should be an easy win at home. And then we've got Essendon. This game, Essendon at Marvel, is going to, I think, be the one that decides whether we make the finals or not. I think all our home games are winnable, and our away games are quite tough. And it's this one, I think, the Essendon game in round 17, that will ultimately decide whether we make the 8, because I think it'll be pretty much of a logjam at that point. So that's a real key. And then after the Bombers, I think we've got, who have we got at home? We've got the Giants at home, which won't be a pushover, but we tend to do well against them at home. And then we've got another tough one at the G. It's our second game at the G. Nick, we've actually got 2. Melbourne, that will obviously, although Melbourne are just going, so I mean it's hard to know how they'll be looking towards the back end of the season, but at the moment they're just going, and they could well be gettable by the time we meet them at the G. They'd want to be turning things around a little bit by then, I'd imagine. So that's another gettable one. Then obviously we've got the Showdown, which on form is going to be quite difficult, although we were the last team to beat Port Adelaide. So that's a good omen. And then we've got the Suns at home. And then our last away game for the season is the Lions at the Gabba, which will be difficult. And then obviously after that, our last home game is against... then we've got Sydney at home, which should be easy enough. Then our last game is West Coast away, which would also imagine would be quite winnable. So the last 2 certainly gettable. I think Essendon certainly, and on reflection, maybe the Melbourne game at the G could be 2 games that really decide our fate this year. I think if we can snag one of those 2 and win our winnable home games, then we will be... for God's sake. There we go. We'll be well on the way, I think, to making the 8 and playing some sort of role in the finals. All right. Well, we've hit an hour almost, and I think I don't want to... that's all right, Rat. I don't know what's going on, mate. It would have been nice to have you on, but if we can sort those out, those mic issues out, mate, then next time we'll definitely have you on. So considering next weekend is a bye and a lot of people will be asking for a bit of a deep dive into the list, I want to do that with Macca here with a bit of preparation. So I won't do that tonight. And I think we might actually cut it there because there's not a lot else to talk about. So I really do appreciate everyone that came on board tonight and listened in. It's a bit of a short, sharp, shiny one, but as I said, a fantastic win, a fantastic game and celebration of Texas' career. And thanks to everyone on YouTube and Discord who have joined us for the evening. We'll be back next week with Macca, and we won't have a game to cover, obviously, but we will do a bit of a deep dive on our list, where we're standing, and how the back end of the season looks. So in the meantime, stay safe, take it easy, and we'll see you all next week.